guys, welcome back to another video. This is Derek from CertifiedLegacy. We'll be unboxing an iPhone 4S, supposedly still running its original software version, iOS 5. So without further ado, let's get this thing right out of the box. Okay, here is the phone. Let's see if this has any charge. This is definitely a 4S. Looks like it. Thing has been sitting, so I am kind of worried that this battery could be messed up. I've been waiting to unbox this for like a couple weeks at this point, and there we go. We boot right into the setup screen. Now, how can I tell this is iOS 5 just based on the setup screen? Well, if you look at like the status bar right here, you can see that little lock icon. On iOS 6, this lock icon was completely removed. This is exclusive to the iOS 5 setup. So let me get this thing set up, and hopefully we don't go into a setup loop. As with iPhone 4Ss, that is completely common, and there's actually a good chance we might have to activate this, so we'll have to see. So far, so good, but as you know, when you go into a setup loop, this part usually goes by normal. I'm gonna use Siri. Don't send. Let's see if we set up loop. Guess what? We're set up looping. All right, we gotta Hacktivate this. I'm just gonna spare you much of the details because this will be quite boring and it will kind of take a little while. So I'll just come back to you when I've successfully Hacktivated it and we can go right into this 4S. Also, they left a cable in here, and this is genuinely one of the worst looking cables I've ever seen. Also, if you're curious about the process of Hacktivating, I will throw in the footage of me doing that after we go over the specs and everything of the phone. And I'll also quickly show you the version number because I can look in Legacy iOS Kit. So as you can see in Legacy iOS Kit, we are on iOS version iOS 5.1. Okay, now the only slightly thing I am kind of disappointed about this thing is that this was supposed to be a 32GB model, but it is only a 16, but that is perfectly fine. iOS 5 is iOS 5 for these things. These are kind of hard to find, so it's whatever. Now that we have confirmed the iOS version, let's go over the specs of this device. The iPhone 4S released October 14th of 2011. It was the last phone to be announced in the lifetime of Steve Jobs, who died one day after it was announced on the 5th of October. Rest in peace. The iPhone 4S externally looked very similar to the iPhone 4. The only real difference you may notice versus like a 4S versus a normal 4, this is the normal 4 of course, is the antenna lines are slightly different. As you can see, the antenna line is up here, and on the 4S, the antenna line is on the side. And the reason they did this is to combat antenna gate, which was a problem on the normal 4. If you do not know what antenna gate is for some reason, on the iPhone 4, if you held your phone wrong, it would basically ruin your service and cause dropped calls. This was actually fixed on the 4S, so you can see where the prime spots were kind of swapped around here, and they basically redesigned the whole entire antenna band design to combat this issue, of course. The 4S now featured the dual-core A5 chip first seen in the iPad 2nd gen, making demanding tasks like games run significantly better versus the iPhone 4. And of course, this having the A5 chipset means that it has the curse of iOS 9 A5, and that is of course the last iOS version that the 4S and any other A5 device can run. It ended up being so slow that Apple ended up being sued. I mean, it just shows how lucky I am to have one on iOS 5 and an iPad 2 on iOS 4. I actually have multiple iPad 2s on iOS 4. Where it also gets a massive improvement is in the camera. This can definitely be seen in the 4S when I'm looking at this iPad 2 right here. You can see it comes up a lot better. And the 4S, by the way, is this one. The reason the 4S has a much better camera is because of it having a full 8 megapixels versus 5 megapixels on the iPhone 4. And this can really be seen in when you're like recording a video. Like, cause now, if I record a video on both of these phones, this one can only do 720p 30, and this can do a full 1080 30, except it's not really focusing on this one. Although the selfie camera is virtually the same. I don't know if you can see me right here, but there's not much of a difference on the iPhone 4 versus the 4S. And yeah, I mean, it's slightly better, but they're both VGA quality, so it really doesn't matter. Battery only saw a slight improvement on the 4S, going from 1420 milliamp hours on the 4 to 1432 on the 4S. And of course, they can't really improve that much because they're literally the same exact design, to be completely honest. Now, let's talk about why iOS 5 is so unique on this iPhone. Of course, iOS 5 is the first iOS version that this device ran, meaning it will run faster than like any other version that this device can run, of course. iOS 5 is the first iOS version to feature iCloud, as before it was a massive pain to like sync to iTunes if you wanted music and all your other content on here, or be forced to pay for the buggy and overpriced Mobile Me. Funny enough, Steve Jobs actually admitted this himself when iCloud was announced.
You might ask, Why should I believe them? They're the ones that brought me Mobile Me. It wasn't our finest hour.
Secondly, iCloud was revolutionary because the starting price didn't have a price at all. Yeah, it was completely free. And for Mobile Me, the starting price was about like 99 bucks per year. Apple also included iMessage and was super revolutionary because all you needed was an internet connection to send unlimited text to anyone else that also had iOS 5. So of course this included iPad users and iPod Touch users, which also was revolutionary for the iPad, as on iOS 4, you didn't have this at all, as you can see right here, versus iOS 5 on this iPad 3. Over-the-air software updates and over-the-air setup was also added, meaning you can now set up your phone without connecting to iTunes, and the same with updating, which as on iOS 4, you couldn't do this at all. You had to connect to iTunes. Because if you didn't really have a computer, even like a Windows computer or a Mac or any of that, you would not be having one of these devices at all, or even updating it if you got it and they activated it at the Apple Store or something like that. The iPod app was also separated into a bunch of its own apps like videos and music, and you can see this here as on iPod. All your music, TV shows, and whatsoever are all in this one app right here. Now a very big one which I have not mentioned so far. Siri was of course added, and that was very big for the time. So without further ado, let's check out Siri. Let's try something out. Well, let me actually sync some music to this thing and then we can try that out quickly. So let's try something right now. Hey Siri, play Aquafina by Blizzy Boy. I don't know if you can see that, but it literally just started playing the music I synced to this thing. Let's ask it some other questions. Actually, let's try this right now. How many calories is in a bagel?
Searching the web for how many calories in a bagel.
And here, of course, this would pull up something like that, and it would do that, yeah. This, of course, was revolutionary for the time because it was like you had your own little smart assistant in your pocket. And I remember really liking this back in the day, actually. And now, let's check out the one last thing that was really important that they added in iOS 5, that being the newsstand app, which is if you download magazines or newspaper or something, it would go right here. Now, that is all the important stuff. If you want to see everything, I will leave a link for that in the description, as Apple has their own little page of what they added in iOS 5. Also, if you are curious about the battery percentage on this phone, here you go. Now, let's jailbreak, Hacktivate, and save SHSH Blobs with Legacy iOS Kit. So, the first thing I'm going to do just immediately is I'm going to save onboard Blobs before I actually go ahead and Hacktivate, so I'll do that quickly. So, as you can see, I gotta download the IPSW file for iOS 5.1, so I'm going to do that quickly. Okay, so all I have to do here is I have to save onboard Blobs, I have to do pwn DFU, I have to send it into recovery mode, I'm now going to have to put it into DFU mode, and then I'm going to have to put this into checkmate in a second, my Arduino. So I need to make sure it actually detects DFU mode, hopefully. Okay, we've done this with DFU now. Now, let me throw this into checkmate, or pwn DFU mode, whatever you want to call it. So all I gotta do here, actually I have two instances of whatever it's called opening. So all I gotta do here is I have to plug this into my Arduino right here, and it's now going to try to do checkmate. I gotta upload the sketch again. Let's hope it actually goes into checkmate pwn DFU mode, because a couple of times it depends. I might have to actually unplug and restart the whole Arduino sometimes. And it looks like I'm gonna have to do that, so I'm just gonna unplug it from the computer, plug it back in, and now hopefully we go into pwn DFU mode and it actually functions. So let's see what it does. Okay, see, you can see that right there. That means it's going into pwn DFU mode, and it should take a second to actually successfully go into it. Now it says done. That means it's done pwning. What I can do is go back here, unplug my USB from my Arduino, plug it back into my computer, and all I gotta do is hit enter. Now it's gonna try to save Blobs here. Yep, there it goes. Okay, that was pretty simple. When Blobs are saved, and then we're going to, actually it's restarting right now. I'll come back to you when this is restarted, and then we can Hacktivate it. So now the next thing I have to do is I have to jailbreak it, because yeah, Gilbert Jailbreak. Also, I'll be doing a video on Gilbert Jailbreak in a second, so it should take a second to jailbreak. I only have to put it into DFU mode, hopefully do that kind of jailbreak. So and it looks like it failed, and as you can see, I actually need to activate this, which is kind of annoying. So I'm gonna have to jailbreak this with RAM disk, which sucks. So I have to go in here, I have to boot SSH RAM disk, which is very annoying. I have to do pwn DFU, I have to send it to recovery mode. So I have to put it into DFU now. All right, now that we're in DFU, I have to pwn it again. So I gotta upload the sketch again, put it back into checkmate or pwn DFU mode. All right, we've pwned it, and then I have to plug this back into my computer. I'm not very happy about this, if you can tell. So I have to go here, I have to hit enter. It's now gonna try to run RAM disk, hopefully. Checkmate A5 is completely annoying and horrible. I hate doing this. As you can see, it's just so tedious to just like boot a RAM disk, and it sucks. All right, actually looks like it can't jailbreak from RAM disk. So what I'm gonna try to do is I'm going to put this into DFU mode, and I'm gonna see if I can get it to register as RAM disk. So, okay, I got RAM disk method to show up, thankfully. So I'm just gonna hit yes, and now I have to go put it into pwn DFU mode. Hey guys, at the very least, I figured that out. I thought I wouldn't figure that out, and I'd have to go ask somebody else on how to actually do that, but it actually seemed pretty simple to get RAM disk to show up. So I'm just gonna have to replug this in so it does its thing. Is now I just have to hit enter, and it's now going to attempt to jailbreak with RAM disk, and hopefully we're going to successfully do this and not have to go and repwn it again and go through the whole entire hassle of doing that. So it looks like it's actually jailbreaking. I'm gonna put this here so you can see what it's doing. Okay, I don't think we got any errors during that, so hopefully when we boot it's actually jailbroken. We'll have to see. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be forced to go back into RAM disk. Okay, now to boot SSH RAM disk again. So I gotta hit send this right back into recovery mode. I'm now gonna put it back into DFU mode. Okay, we're in DFU mode now, and now I have to go checkmate it again, which sucks. I hate doing it. As I said earlier, I have to go here and I have to hit upload on the sketch, and probably have to plug this back in again to successfully checkmate it, because it does that. It says checkmate started, but then it never actually checkmates for some reason. So I have to unplug my Arduino, plug it right back in, and then it starts checkmating. So let me checkmate it. All right, now that we've done that, we can go back here, plug this back into my computer, and just hit enter, and hopefully it successfully checkmates it. Okay, it is. Thank God. Okay, so I'm just gonna connect to SSH. Okay, I'm just gonna put in mount.sh. Okay. All right, I'm now going to connect up to FileZilla. All right, we've successfully connected via SSH to FileZilla. Okay, I have to put this into the remote site right here, which I'll show you. Also, don't follow this as a tutorial. I already did a tutorial on this a while ago when my videos still sucked. So if you are curious about that, I'll leave that in the description. Okay, all I gotta do here is I gotta drop in this lockdown file, and then this one I can just get rid of. I'm gonna download it actually, and then I'm gonna delete it just in case. It's not gonna try to delete it. Hold on. If it's going to, it's not deleting it. It appears. Okay, and then all I gotta do, I think, is I just have to hit exit to go back to the command menu, and then I just gotta reboot it. Okay, and we're actually on iOS 5. Let's go! And now that I've done that, we're now going to just spend some time with this device, get some stuff synced to it, and yeah. All right, I've synced some music and I've gotten some games on here, and I've also fixed the App Store. So let's just explore all of it. So let's start off with the weather app so you just can see how it looks. So like, we're looking at New York's weather right now. You can see it's 27 there. So you can see where it's at right now. Let's also check out stocks, because I just also happen to fix stocks. So you can see like all the stock markets and everything. Apple Inc. actually went up today. Let's see if there's anything interesting in here. I can't get any cool tech stocks in here. I have no idea what this one is. Let's also look at like the App Store, because I also happen to fix the App Store in iOS 5, because we're actually in iOS 5.1, so I don't have to worry about going through and doing like the stupid like proxy server thing, which is just very annoying basically. So you can check out the categories of apps and stuff. You can check out the top 25. There's plenty of stuff in here. Yeah, that pretty much works perfectly good. But you can check out maps. So like, let's go somewhere random, like let's go to like Canada. What's up here? I literally have no idea where this is. I have no idea how you say that either. Kanik Sujuchuak. Okay, I'm sorry for people that are from this place. Looks like there's nothing here. It's a very small town. I just zoomed in on it. But you can see the Maps app already works on iOS 5 without any tweaks, because it's just Google Maps. And Google Maps already happens to work for this, which is good. On iOS 6, this does not want to work at all because it's Apple Maps, which, yeah. Game Center also works. We can check out like clock. You can see Cupertino, New York. You can set an alarm. If you want to check, let's check out some of the alarm things we have in here because there's plenty of old ones. Oh, that's like a meme sound. Also a meme sound. Also a meme sound. I remember this one, other than like the normal alarm one. And that one. We can also check out the wallpaper selection. To be honest, iOS 5's wallpapers, I don't really like the ones that are just default on the iPhone 4S. Like, I like this one, but all these like other like random like texture wallpapers, I'm not a big fan of. Like these. I'm not a big fan of those. I kind of like this one, I guess. This one I do really like. I might set it to this one, but I kind of want to set it back to the bubble wallpaper. This one's pretty good. These are all right, and I just like the earth wallpaper and like this wallpaper. So let's set it back to this because I'm going to need it on this for the thumbnail. But yeah, that is that. We can check out like the Notes app if you want to see like some classic skeuomorphism in here. Like let's type something in here like CertifiedLegacy. And you can see it's really cool because it literally looks like a real notepad. And I can go in here and it looks like, yeah. So some other stuff we can look at here. We can look at the YouTube app in here. We have some random stuff in here. Actually, the first time I listened to this new A$AP Rocky song was unironically on old YouTube, which is really funny. But this is like the actual classic YouTube app. Let's see if I can go to the comments. Like, what are the comments saying about this A$AP Rocky song? Because I can view that in here. This is so funny. I can just view this on like the iOS 5's YouTube app. GTA 6 soundtrack certified. I'm gonna be honest, that's actually a pretty good song. Actually, I didn't really have hype for that album because he really hasn't done anything in like forever, but I kind of get it now. I'm kind of hyped for it. We can also check out like the phone app. Yeah, as you can see, very classic skeuomorphism, very dark. I like this type of skeuomorphism a lot more than whatever skeuomorphism iOS 6 brought with more like white and blue elements. We can check out the calendar. I don't really know what's in here. What is this? Oh, is this just what's right now? But you can see that actually behaves like a real calendar. Newsstand, we looked at this already. Nothing really in there. And now we can actually check out the calculator before we get into games. I was about to go into games. Like, let's do like something random. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's do 6-9 plus 6-9. What does that do? I don't know. I just did. But you can see that's a calculator. I'm not going to go into my contacts, but I put my iCloud on here. It's going to show my actual contacts, so I'm not going to... Voice memos. It's voice memos. This is basically the same voice memos iOS 3 has as well. Now, let's check out some apps that I downloaded. Like, let's check out Ninja. I always play this game. Like, every time I do one of these types of videos, you best believe I'm going to play this game. Yeah, but not gonna lie, this is like one of the games I'm most nostalgic for from this old era of gaming. Like, I used to play this a ton back in the day. But yeah, that is Ninja. We can check out old Minecraft. Let's check out Minecraft Lite, if any of you remember this. I do remember this from like the iOS 4 iPad 2 days. I do remember this game. I think it was this exact version too. I think the latest it can go on iOS 4 is 0.21 if I'm not mistaken. This I do remember. I really like the old graphics of old Minecraft. They're supposed to like remove all the textures and swap them with newer ones, which I don't really agree with. I like the old type of textures, despite them probably not looking as good or realistic. I like this type of Minecraft. You can get a feel for that. Let's check out 0.95 on this version, which is not light, of course, and this is an infinite type of Minecraft world because this is later Minecraft. This is the latest for iOS 5, I believe, and it also runs very well on iOS 5. As you can see. Of course, it's not going to run as well as Minecraft Lite because Minecraft Lite is an older version of Minecraft, but it still runs very well. And the last one I do want to check out before we head out here is Subway Surfers. I think I downloaded like some like special version of it for like Sydney or something. But this is like the latest version you can get for iOS 5 and Viteris. So yeah, and now you can get a feel for Subway Surfers on here. Subway Surfers has never really ran well on the 4S, despite if you get like a later version that is supposed to be more optimized for iOS 5. I don't know, I've never had a good experience with Subway Surfers on iOS 5 for some reason. I have literally no idea why. Well, iOS 5 4S's rather, or literally like a 4 or any of that. It just doesn't run as well. Maybe it's because it needs more RAM or something. But I really don't have good experiences with this, except if I go use an iPad 2, it is significantly smoother, and that is basically the same exact device, but with a bigger screen. So technically it should run worse, but I don't know, maybe it's just a quirk of like the versions of like iOS 5 or something where they just run slower. But with my experience, I don't think these run very well. Like, it just feels overall not very smooth. But yeah, that is pretty much everything on this iOS 5.1 4S. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video and found it interesting, please like, subscribe with notifications on, and share to someone that might also find this interesting. Check out my social medias, which will be on the end card and in the description. And yeah, this has been Derek from CertifiedLegacy, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.